You don't need to be bad with cars to get scammed. You just need to trust the mechanic. One urgent problem, one scary explanation, and you're paying for repairs your car never needed. Today, I'm exposing 12 mechanic scams that drivers fall for every single day. And stay for scam number 9. It takes under a minute, uses a fake dirty fluid, and drains wallets without fixing anything. Scam number 1, the air filter proof trick. Imagine this. You're sitting in the waiting area, uncomfortable chair, lukewarm coffee, daytime TV nobody wants to watch. Then a technician walks over holding an engine air filter that looks absolutely destroyed. Dark, dusty, almost black. He says something like, "Your air filter is completely clogged. It's restricting airflow and hurting engine performance. We really need to replace this right away." That sounds serious, and that's the point. What most drivers don't realize is this. In dishonest shops, that filter might not belong to your car at all. Some shops keep an old, filthy air filter hidden in the service bay. When it's time to upsell, they bring that one out, show it to you, and let fear do the rest. Most people have never opened their hood. They've never seen their engine air filter. So when someone in a uniform holds up proof, they don't question it. And that's why this scam works so well. The engine air filter is one of the cheapest parts on your car. It's also one of the easiest to access and replace, which makes it the perfect tool for deception. Here's how you protect yourself. Before going to any shop, open your hood and remove the air filter. Take a permanent marker and put a small mark, X, or your initials on the rubber edge. It takes 10 seconds. If a mechanic later brings you a dirty filter and that mark isn't there, you've just caught them lying. At that point, don't argue. Don't try to negotiate. Tell them to reinstall your original filter and leave. Because if they're willing to lie about a $20 part, nothing else they recommend can be trusted. Scam number 2, the cabin air filter upsell. This one is even more common and far more profitable. Your engine air filter protects the engine. Your cabin air filter cleans the air you breathe inside the car. Mechanics love pushing this service because it sounds important and feels personal. They'll say something like, "It's dirty and we recommend replacing it today for your health." Then they show you the price. $60, $70, sometimes even more. Here's the truth they won't tell you. The cabin air filter itself usually costs between $10 and $15 at an auto parts store. And for about 90% of vehicles on the road, replacing it takes less than 3 minutes. No special tools, no jack, no lift. In most cars, you simply open a glove box, let it drop down, slide the old filter out, and slide the new one in. That's it. So when a shop charges $50 or more in labor for a job that takes a few minutes, that's not expertise, it's markup. Here's how you shut this down. Politely decline the service. Buy the filter yourself. Then search online for your car model's cabin air filter replacement. There are thousands of short videos showing the exact steps. 2 minutes later, you're done, and you just save yourself a lot of money. Scam number 3, nitrogen tire inflation. This scam sounds technical, scientific, and advanced, and that's exactly why people fall for it. You go in for new tires or a routine service, and the advisor says, "We recommend nitrogen-filled tires. It helps maintain pressure and prevents tire deterioration." Then you see the extra charge. $40, $50. Let's break this down. The air you're breathing right now is already about 78% nitrogen. The air from a regular gas station pump? Same composition. Paying for nitrogen simply increases that percentage closer to 100, but for everyday driving, that change makes no meaningful difference. Nitrogen inflation does have real uses. In racing, in aviation, in environments with extreme temperature swings. But for daily commuters, your Camry, Civic, or family SUV, it provides no noticeable benefit. That's why many shops include nitrogen for free, because charging for it is where the scam begins. Here's the counter. If nitrogen comes free with your tires, there's no harm in taking it. But if it appears as a paid line item on your invoice, ask for standard air instead and have that charge removed. Your tires won't feel the difference, but your wallet definitely will. Scam number 4, the damaged wiper setup. This one is subtle, and that's why it works. Your car goes in for a routine service or a free inspection. At some point, a technician wipes your windshield wipers with a rag. What you don't see is the problem. In dishonest shops, that rag may hide something sharp. A fingernail, a small pick, even the edge of a tool. As they clean the blade, they create a tiny nick in the rubber. Later, they come back and say, "We found a tear in your wiper blade. If you keep using it, it could scratch your windshield." Now you're trapped. You didn't inspect the blades before handing over the keys. You can't prove the damage wasn't already there. And nobody wants to gamble with an expensive windshield. So you agree and buy their overpriced replacement on the spot. That's the scam. Here's how you protect yourself. Before any service, quickly check your wiper blades. Run your finger along the rubber edge. Look for cracks, splits, or tears. If they were fine when you arrived and suddenly dangerous an hour later, that's not coincidence. That's a red flag. A shop willing to damage parts to create a sale is a shop you should never return to. Scam number 5, the warped rotor's diagnosis. You notice the steering wheel shaking when you brake. So you bring the car in. The mechanic drives it once, comes back, and says, "Your brake rotors are warped from heat. They need to be replaced." It sounds reasonable. It sounds technical. And most people accept it immediately. But here's the reality. Modern brake rotors are thick cast iron. They don't usually warp or bend like people imagine. What's actually happening is something called uneven pad material transfer. Small amounts of brake pad material stick to the rotor surface unevenly. When the pads clamp down, they grab those high spots, and that's what causes vibration. The rotor itself is often still perfectly flat. Here's where the scam comes in. In many cases, those rotors can be resurfaced, also known as being turned on a brake lathe. That process smooths the surface and removes the vibration for a fraction of the cost of new rotors. But some shops will say, "We don't resurface rotors. We only replace them." That's not a technical requirement. That's a business decision. The counter. Ask one direct question. Did you measure the rotor thickness, and is it still within spec to be resurfaced? If no measurements were taken, there was no real diagnosis, just a sales pitch. Scam number 6, the brake caliper add-on. This one quietly inflates your bill. You come in for brake pads. The estimate comes back with pads, rotors, and calipers. That should immediately raise alarms. The brake caliper is the heavy metal component that squeezes the pads against the rotor. It's built to last well over 150,000 miles under normal conditions. Replacing calipers with every brake job makes no sense. It's like replacing a door hinge every time you repaint the door. Calipers only need replacement if there's a real failure. A brake fluid leak, a seized piston, or uneven braking caused by a stuck slider. So why do some shops push them? Because calipers can add hundreds of dollars to the invoice. And since the brakes are already disassembled, it barely adds labor time. Here's how you stop it. Ask them plainly. Why are the calipers being replaced? Are they leaking? Are they seized? Make them explain the failure. If they can't point to a specific mechanical issue, the calipers don't belong on the estimate. Scam number 7, the half-worn fear play. A service advisor walks up with a serious tone and says, "Your brake pads are about 50% worn. It's starting to get unsafe." That sounds alarming, but let's slow down and think. If you've driven roughly 30,000 miles and your pads are at 50%, that means you likely have another 30,000 miles left. That's years of normal driving. 50% worn is not dangerous. It's not even urgent. Brake pads are designed to work safely until the friction material is almost gone. In most cars, that's around 3 millimeters. So why do shops use 50%? Because it's a psychological number. It feels like you're already halfway to failure, even though you're not. Without an actual measurement, percent worn means nothing. Here's how you shut it down. Ask for the remaining pad thickness in millimeters. Use this as your reference. 8 millimeters or more, basically new. 4 to 6 millimeters, plenty of life left. 3 millimeters or less, time to plan a replacement. If they won't give you a number, they're not diagnosing a problem. They're applying pressure. Scam number 8, the early coolant flush. Modern cars don't use the old green coolant anymore. Most vehicles today run long-life coolant engineered to last 5 years or around 100,000 miles. Yet many shops recommend a coolant flush at 30,000 miles. Why? Because the flush machine is easy money. They might dip a test strip into the reservoir and show you a color that looks off. But here's what they don't explain. Coolant naturally changes color over time due to heat cycles. Color alone does not mean the coolant has failed. What actually matters is contamination, corrosion protection, and additive breakdown, not how pretty the liquid looks. Here's the counter that ends the conversation. Open your glove box. Pull out the owner's manual. Turn to the maintenance schedule. If the manufacturer, the engineers who designed the engine, say to replace coolant at 100,000 miles, and the shop wants to do it at 30,000, ask them, why are you recommending something earlier than the factory schedule? Most of the time, that's where the upsell stops. Scam number 9, the dirty fluid demonstration. This one is fast, visual, and extremely effective. The mechanic pulls a dipstick or opens a cap and says, "Look at this fluid. It should be bright red. This is burnt." It looks convincing, and that's why it works. Here's what they don't tell you. Most hydraulic fluids and oils darken very quickly once a vehicle is driven. Heat breaks down the dye in the fluid long before the fluid itself stops working. Dark color does not automatically mean bad fluid. A fluid can look dark and still lubricate, cool, and protect perfectly well. What actually matters are two things: smell and contamination. Burnt fluid has a sharp burnt odor, often compared to burnt toast. Bad fluid may also contain metal flakes, sludge, or visible debris. Here's the rule to remember. If the fluid doesn't smell burnt and doesn't contain metal or contamination, dark color alone is not a reason to spend hundreds on a flush. Don't pay for fear. Pay for evidence. Scam number 10, the one-size-fits-all transmission flush. This one sparks arguments, but it's one of the most important scams to understand. Many shops aggressively push something called a power transmission flush. They connect your car to a machine that forces new fluid and cleaning chemicals through the transmission under pressure. It sounds preventative. It sounds professional. And in the wrong car, it can destroy the transmission. Here's what actually happens inside an older or high-mileage transmission. As transmissions age, clutch packs wear down. In some cases, those worn surfaces rely on a thin layer of friction material and residue to maintain proper grip. A power flush strips that material away. Worse, the pressure used during the flush can knock loose debris and push it into tiny passages inside the valve body, areas that control shifting. The result? Delayed shifts, harsh gear changes, slipping, or total failure, sometimes days or weeks after the service. And when that happens, the shop often says, "Your transmission was already on its way out." That's how the responsibility disappears. Here's the critical detail most people miss. Most vehicle manufacturers do not recommend power flushing. They specify a drain and fill service instead. Gravity only, no pressure, no chemicals. That method replaces old fluid gradually without shocking the system. Here's the counter. Ask the shop one direct question. Is this exact flushing procedure approved by my vehicle's manufacturer? If the answer isn't a clear yes, or they dodge the question, walk away. Scam number 11, the fuel injector cleaning add-on. This one sounds technical, and that's exactly why it works. You bring your car in for service. The advisor says it feels sluggish and recommends a fuel injection cleaning for $150 or more. What they don't explain is that there are two very different types of injector cleaning. The proper method involves removing the fuel rail, taking out each injector, and professionally cleaning and testing them. That process takes hours and requires specialized equipment. The upsell version is very different. Some shops pour a cheap additive into your gas tank. Others hook up a pressurized can, run the engine for 15 minutes, and call it done. The chemical used often costs less than $10. Meanwhile, most modern cars already run top-tier gasoline from brands like Shell, Chevron, and others, which contains detergents specifically designed to keep injectors clean during normal driving. Unless your car has a check engine light, injector-related fault codes, misfires, or proven fuel delivery issues, this service usually provides no measurable benefit. It's not maintenance, it's margin. Here's the counter. Ask one simple question. Do I have any injector-related fault codes or confirmed injector problems? If the answer is no, decline the service. Because real injector issues show up in data, not in vague words like sluggish. Scam number 12, charging the same labor twice. This scam doesn't look shady, and that's why it slips past people. Most repair shops use standardized labor guides, often called book time. Each repair has an assigned number of hours, regardless of who does the work. That system is supposed to create fair pricing, but it can be abused. Here's how it happens. Let's say your car needs a timing belt replacement. The book time for that job might be 4 hours. At the same time, the water pump needs replacement. The book time for that job might be 3 hours. A dishonest shop adds them together and bills you for 7 hours. Here's the issue. To access the water pump, the timing belt already has to be removed. Once you're there, swapping the pump often takes less than 30 minutes. So charging full labor twice means you're paying for the same teardown and setup 2 times. The fair charge should look more like this. Full labor for the primary job, plus a small add-on time for the secondary part, not 2 full jobs stacked. Here's how you call it out instantly. Ask the service advisor this question. Are these labor times overlapping? Because both parts are in the same location. That single sentence changes the conversation. Because once they know you understand overlapping labor, double charging becomes very hard to justify. And that's it, 12 mechanic scams you need to know before you ever hand over your keys. From dirty filters to burnt fluids, overpriced labor, and high-tech sounding tricks, these tactics all have one goal: draining your wallet. The good news? Now you know the signs. You know the questions to ask, the measurements to check, and the procedures to challenge. Next time you're at a shop, you won't be guessing. You'll be in control, and your car and your bank account will thank you. Remember, knowledge is the best tool in the garage. Don't pay for fear. Pay for facts.